Hi, this is Sensei James Leonelli from Sensei's Weekly Mindset, and I'm here to talk to you about betonline.net. Betonline.net is your #1 source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball, soccer, and esports. Don't forget my personal favorite, MMA. We've got it all on betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, we can help you find those on BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. And don't forget BetOnline for NHL, boxing, golf, and like I said, my personal favorite, the sport of MMA. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Life isn't always easy, and you don't have to face it alone. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you have access to a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of needs. To get started, you simply answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's most convenient for you. The best part is, if your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price, all from the comfort at home. To start your journey and to get 10% off of your first month, go to betterhelp.com/sensei. That's betterhelp.com/sensei. BetterHelp, you deserve to be happy. Hi guys, Sensei James Leonelli here to talk to you about another one of our sponsors, LMNT. An electrolyte drink mix. Each one of these little packets gives you exactly what you need to keep you as hydrated as all us athletes like to be. If you're like me, you work out a lot, and when you work out a lot, you also sweat a lot. Now, when we sweat, we don't lose just water, of course. We also sweat out salt. We sweat out electrolytes. So each one of these packets contains 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, giving you everything that you need in order to maintain optimal hydration and nothing that you don't. So to go online, place an order for your sample pack, and to get yourself a bonus free sample pack, you're going to go to this website right here, elementallabs.refr.cc/James Leonelli. You're going to see this down in the video below, but I'll say it one more time for you. elementallabs.refr.cc/James Leonelli. Again, it's a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing that you don't. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Sensei's Weekly Mindset. I'm Sensei James Leonelli, owner and head instructor of Tiger Schulman's here in Smithtown. Once again, I am back in my home recording space, ready to give you guys this week's food for thought. As we get started, you can see I'm still wearing more of the Everyday We Train line. I love this one. I love the color green, though there are several other options available on the Everyday We Train line, available on tiegear.com. You can also find the street style collection and every other cool off the mat collection that they have, not to mention all the great gear, apparel, and so forth that is available for those who are ready to train on the mat. Again, tiegear.com, tiegear.com. As we're here today, I'm fresh off of reading some great passages, quite a bit of David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. I'm still working on it. But he talked a lot about in the book about his journey to becoming eventually a Navy SEAL. And I'm in the midst of his training for all that right now, and his Hell Week and all that kind of craziness that he survived and so forth. And as he was going through it, he left a lot of quotable things, a lot of quotable parts of the story out. but there was a concept, moreover, than an exact quote or something that I took directly from him. But a lot of what he was going through in the book spoke back to an idea that I've heard other places before that I thoroughly enjoy. And it's something that I relate to quite a bit. And also, I think it's something that as human beings we sometimes lose sight of, right? And it is the fact that pressure is a privilege. It is a privilege to be pressured, right? And we can think about that in several senses, in several different ways. But most importantly, we should realize how important and what a privilege pressure is, right? Because there's a big difference between survival pressure, which isn't really pressure at all, it's survivability, right? Someone who's just trying to get their next bite to eat or so forth. For them, things are a lot different than someone who's feeling the pressure of a sales goal, right, in a sales type job, or the pressure of having to maintain their house, their home, their family, right, or the pressure of a trainer or a training partner is pushing them super hard. That's a privilege, right? That's a real big privilege that not everybody gets to have, and it's important that we recognize exactly that pressure is a privilege. See, I'm reminded of a book that I read in the past, and I've read a couple of times because I thought it was so powerful. And the book was called The Last Lecture by Dr. Randy Pausch. And just to give a very brief overview as to what the book was about, Dr. Pausch was a professor at Carnegie Mellon University, and they have a tradition at Carnegie Mellon. Every year the students vote, who's going to deliver the last lecture? And the last lecture is, if you were leaving the world behind today, what would be the wisdom you would leave behind for ensuing generations, as though this were your last lecture on Earth? And he was voted in and found out right after he was voted in that the cancer he was fighting was terminal, and this really would be his last lecture. So he opted to use this as an opportunity to leave behind a whole bunch of wisdom for his young children. And he talked about a lot of great subjects, many of which I've talked about on the podcast in the past. But the one that so closely relates to what we're talking about is the concept of the coach or the teacher who's hard on you. And it's funny, I feel like the world has shifted on this subject a little bit versus when I was a kid, right? We used to have a lot of hard coaches or hard teachers, people who were hard on their kids. And that's not to say that we don't now, but the roughness of the approach has certainly changed, right? Like, it's funny, I had a Little League coach who, I had him for a couple of years, and he was a very good coach. And what made him a very good coach is he was hard on us. He was really good at being hard on us without being negative, which I think is like the best kind of hard on you. And I appreciated it too, because I was not the most skilled athlete in the world at that time. So without being demeaning, he was still able to, put some pressure on us, hold us to high standards, and really make sure that we were trying to be our very best at whatever it is that we were doing. Right? He was hard on us. He like, if you weren't prepared for practice, he'd let you know about it, right? And he'd bust your chops about it. And the same held true for if you thought you didn't give 110%, but if you did, we got the positivity that we deserved there. And it's funny, I feel like though I was not a very talented athlete, where I did my most growth as an athlete in the sport of baseball was under his tutelage, because he was appropriately hard. He took it seriously. He took it very seriously. It's intramural baseball in the town league, which, how serious is it? But I remember one year we were the Phillies, because of course every town league just uses all the major league teams, right? So we were the Phillies, and he had little Philly stickers printed up, and we were putting them on everything. Anything you had that was yours, that was for baseball, you put your little Philly sticker on, whether it was your water bottle, if you had your own batting helmet, whatever. Your baseball glove, everything had a Phillies emblem on it. And again, he cared so much, and he really held us to a high standard, and he was hard on us. And it's funny, I feel like that hard approach is kind of gone from a lot of places. even I remember certain teachers that were very hard. I was just thinking about this the other day, as a matter of fact, as we get ready for back to school here, this being back to school week here in New York. Kai and Riley start their school on Thursday. I know some kids started on Tuesday. Some kids I'm sure are starting tomorrow. But nonetheless, I was thinking back to when I was in middle school. And there was one teacher, and he had a reputation that he was hard. He was very tough on people. And I remember we all did this project for him, whatever it was, wrote an essay, whatever. I forget what it was. And he went around the room, right, like the day that we did it. And I remember sitting in the class, I was just thinking about this as I'm getting ready to send the kids back to school. Funny how this memory hits me, right? And he's going around the room, and as he is, he's going to every single person's desk, and he's finding a reason that their work wasn't what he asked for exactly, right? Like, you did, and like he's walking around, and he's going person by person, and he's being hard on people. You only wrote that much? Take 5 points off. I remember what he said. I still remember what he said to me. That's the handwriting you used to impress the teacher. My penmanship was not good back then. Still isn't great, but it's better than it was. And he goes, put -10 on the top. Right off the bat, taking away 10 points from me without even reading what I wrote, just because he looked at my penmanship. And his point was, I am this hard on you, so when you get into the high school, they're going to be even harder on you. And I am preparing you for that. And though the tactics were different, right? This teacher was a little rougher around the edges. He was not very nice about it, whereas my baseball coach was a little nicer about it. The fact is, both of them put you under some pressure. And it means that the people who are hard on you like that, are the people who care enough to be hard, right? See, there's this adage in the world, right, that we think that love and hate are opposites, and that is not the case. Right? Whether you love someone or you hate someone, you can do it passionately, right? The same word could be used to describe either emotion, because you're still invested in some way or another, right? It's funny, the best movie sequence I can think of about this, right, is the Scarlet Witch attacking Thanos, right, in one, I forget which Avengers movie, and scream, "You took everything from me!" And he looks at her and he goes, "I don't even know who you are." Right? The opposite of love is not hate, it's apathy. It's being completely disconnected, right? Not caring enough, not caring at all. And that, in and of itself, is its own message, right? The teacher or the coach who is hard on you, who puts pressure on you, who holds you to a high standard, that's the teacher or the coach who cares enough about you to want you to be at your best. And that's tremendous. Having that person is a true privilege, right? Think about it. Most of us, we only get 2 people in the world who are hard on us, our parents usually, right? Like my dad was hard on me, my mom was hard on me. And not in a negative sense. They knew what I was capable of, and they let me know if I wasn't meeting it. And they rewarded me if I did, right? They praised when I was doing all the right things, and they were hard on me when I was doing all the wrong things. And as a result, a lot of that has contributed to my mindset now. And martial arts, we're lucky, because in addition to having the parents that are naturally going to be the hardest on you, as much as care about you the most, you are lucky enough to have your instructors who are going to push you, who are going to know what you're capable of and push you to it. And then, on the same token, you're going to have your training partners, who when you're having that down in the dumps day, where you're getting a little confused or whatever, and you feel like maybe you don't have your fastball that day, your friends, your training partners are going to be there to push you that little bit extra, to give you that little bit more, to make you give that little bit more, I should say, that you didn't think you had. And that is so entirely important. It's so hugely important, because with that pressure, with the privilege that is that pressure, comes even higher results. And that's the thing, right? We don't often think about the results in the moment. But right, what we do love is the result, right? Is the big picture benefit. right? And I think that is such a privilege that we have in our life, right? There are many people on this earth who their pressure is not that type of pressure. Their type of pressure is, where's my next meal coming from? Am I going to have shelter over me tonight in the elements, right? And there's a certain amount of the population of the world who that's their pressure, right? That's involuntary pressure. Sure, maybe they've made choices that led them there, but still, right? It's the pressure that we don't necessarily ask, that maybe we ask for, that we put in ourselves in a position to have that pressure. That's the pressure that is so rewarding in and of itself, right? Like, I think back to my father, right? And how my father was when we were kids. And, you know, he always put himself under a tremendous amount of pressure. He worked very, very hard, and he worked a lot. And it was to make sure that we never needed for anything, right? Sure, there were things we wanted for, but that's quite different, right? Every kid wants more than they have. That's a juvenile behavior. Oh, I want that new shiny rock. Of course you do. You're a kid. You're supposed to always want more. It's up to your parents to teach you how to be satisfied and how to earn, right? Not just get just because you want. That's a whole different conversation, though. Right? That'll be another episode. Right? But more importantly, he put himself under pressure to make sure that as much as he worked, he was still a big part of our lives. Right? When he got home from work, on the weekends, he involved himself in our soccer league, which, let's be honest, when we were growing up, my dad is not an athletic guy, never really was. Right? He wasn't a guy who played sports growing up, just wasn't. Not that he didn't like play with his friends and stuff, but he wasn't Mr. Little League or Mr. Intramural Sports. That wasn't him, right? But, you know, when it came down to our soccer league, like that we all three of us played in, he got so involved. He's did the books for a while. He served on the board. He became the president eventually. He did all this. Why? Because he cared about soccer? No, because he was involved in what was important to us. That's a lot of pressure. Working this crazy job with all these demands that he already had, right? Taking care of himself, his family, his home, and then taking on a volunteer position just to be involved in something that was important to his kids. That pressure he put himself under, that's a privilege. He was privileged to be able to do that. He was privileged to be able to be in a situation where he could voluntarily take on that volunteer position and show us how much he cared about what we were doing, and showed us how to really work at things. Right? It's funny, when my dad was the president of the soccer league, when he was the president of the board, when we put up goals at the soccer field, he was out there digging the holes with everybody else. He was not above anything. And I always respected that, and it's something obviously that I remember to this day, putting up those goals with him, and he out there with the rest of us digging the holes for the posts, right? Why? Because he wanted to show us, look how much I care. And maybe it wasn't even a conscious thought, but that was what was behind it. Look, I'm making this place better for my kids. That's a privilege. He is privileged to be able to put that time and effort and energy in to making something better for his kids. That's amazing, right? That's something that we don't often get, right? It's like having classmates that push you to be your best. Think about most people and their gym buddies, right? Most people have a gym buddy simply to make sure they show up, right? That's your gym buddy's number one job. Hey, listen, we're meeting at the gym at 7 o'clock, right? It's Monday, we're doing chest. Okay, good. Right? Your gym buddy's job is to make sure you're there Monday at 7 to work chest with them. Now, they might cheerlead you through the last rep or two, but are they making sure that you're pushing yourself at your absolute everything? When you're exhausted, are they making sure you're getting that one more? Right? Do they do that extra set with you? Do they make sure that you don't have extra rest or downtime? Do they make sure your technique is perfect? I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe. Right? You might have a great gym buddy who does that for you, and that's phenomenal, and I hope you do, if you're a person who goes to the gym. In martial arts, it's kind of built in, right? That you're going to have that person that's going to work you at your absolute best, who's going to make sure you've got your poker face on when you are working at your best. That as much as you're feeling it,
Nobody knows, but you're killing it. You're pushing that extra bit of that workout out. That's a privilege, to have those people around you who are going to care about you that much, right? To have the instructor who's going to stand over you and make sure you're doing that thing right. And when they correct a part of your technique, they're going to stand there and they're going to watch you and put extra pressure on you as you watch them watch you, as you see them staring at you while you're doing the skill they asked you for. And they stand there and watch you do it again and again and again and again until you get it right. That is such a privilege. That is such a privilege to have that person there for you, to make sure that you are at your absolute best, to make sure you're constantly improving. Right? I mean, think about it. Even making proper nutritional choices is its own type of pressure. Knowing that I should eat this, not that. You have the privilege in your life of not being like, well, I'm going to eat what I can get because it's what I can get, right? You have the privilege of saying, okay, I have the choice of everything, right? And this is going to taste maybe a little bit better right now, but I'm going to hate myself a little after. This may not be as pleasing to my mouth in this exact moment, but I know I'm going to love what I see in the mirror. That's a privilege to be able to put yourself under that much pressure, to be hard on yourself that way. That is huge. That is tremendous. That is the kind of thing that molds a person into a better, stronger person. And that's the thing. All these pressures that I've been talking about, because they're all voluntary things that we're taking on, what they all have in common is what they do for you big picture, right? It's not like they just simply relate to that one thing that you're doing. Having the privilege, I should say, of having classmates who are there to push you to be at your absolute best, that's great for you in that one class. But what it also does for you is it shows you the reality of what you're capable of. And moreover, it means that next time those same classmates are pushing you to be at your best, you're already a higher level. You're already working at a level that you didn't know you could do before. They've already pushed you to there. And now you're able to go even higher. And they're there to support you to make sure you're doing even better. And the same is true with your instructor, who's standing there watching you do whatever the technique is over and over and over again. Yeah, they might be correcting something else today, but now that thing that they were working on with you last time, it's good. It's set. It's awesome. Right? You have it checked off your list. That's why it is such a privilege to have the pressure of those people around you. Right? It is a privilege. Oh, you got all this pressure to take care of your family. That means you got a family that loves you and looks up to you. That's amazing. Think about how many people don't have that. There's plenty of people in this world that don't have that. I think of so many people in this. I can think of so many people in this world who try to have kids and a family, and they don't ever get it. Right? And sometimes by hook or by crook, life finds a way. Right? One way or another, they find a way to have kids in their life, adoption, whatever. Right? But then again, there's that pressure of, well, are you acting right because you want your kids to act right? So you gotta have the privilege of having the pressure of having to watch you all the time, and knowing that that the things that you say, the things that you do, are going to influence those kids forever. That is a privilege. That is a privilege that you should take so seriously, and it's something that you should recognize as a privilege. Where as much as you might want to be lazy with it, as much as you might get annoyed about it sometimes, realize that you are still privileged to have it. And realize that privilege only makes you better. So, as we're drawing to a close tonight, what I want you guys to think about as you're listening to this podcast, think about all the choices you've made that have put you in a position of pressure. Are you a parent? Are you a homeowner? Do you have customers? Do you have martial arts training partners? Do you have a gym buddy? Do you have all those people around you to hold you accountable? If you do, consider how lucky you are. Consider how privileged you are. And more importantly, take advantage of that privilege. Use it to press yourself to a level that you didn't even know you were capable of. Right? There's that old adage about betting on yourself. The privilege that is pressure is it kind of forces you to bet on yourself, to make yourself do even better. I can't wait to see what you guys can accomplish with it. So that's all I have for you guys this week. As always, you can reach me via email, senseileonelli@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Sensei_Leonelli. You can find me on Facebook. I'm Sensei James Leonelli. Find out more about my school online at tsmasmithtown.com. On Facebook, we're at facebook.com/TigerSchulmanSmithtown. We're on Twitter and Instagram at TSMMA_Smithtown. You can find out more about the Tiger Schulman's organization as a whole at tsk.com. Find the podcast on Instagram at Sensei's Weekly Mindset. You can find everywhere I'm on the internet at my linktree, linktr.ee/Sensei Leonelli. Again, on there's our sponsorship information. Sponsorship opportunities still available. By all means, reach out to me. There you can find everything Flex Fights, everything Tiger Schulman's, all on my Linktree. Other than that, my friends, make sure you guys leave a rate and review. Just helps. Make sure you guys subscribe, get your new episodes every Wednesday. But most importantly, guys, share the podcast. Sharing the podcast is the only form of advertising that I have, and it's so important to me, and it means so much to me to see you guys do it. So thank you very much. Other than that, my friends, until next time, invest in yourselves. I'll see you guys on the mat.